The night was quiet when Ethan, a young human man, walked alone across the empty road. He had been returning from his job, tired, thinking only about sleep. But then, the sky above him split open with a strange light. It was not lightning, and it was not a plane. It was something he had never seen before. The light grew stronger, and the sound of air shaking filled his ears. Before he could run, something powerful pulled him upward. His feet left the ground and his body rose into the sky. Ethan shouted, but no one was there to hear him. The world spun, and then everything went black. When he opened his eyes again, he was no longer on Earth. He lay on a cold metal floor inside a strange chamber. The walls glowed softly, filled with moving lines and symbols. Ethan's heart raced, his breath came fast. He realized he had been taken by something not human. Figures moved in the shadows, tall and elegant. As they stepped closer, he saw they were women, alien women. Their eyes were large and bright, glowing like crystals. Their skin shimmered with soft colors like silver and blue. They looked strange but also beautiful. Ethan felt both fear and wonder at the same time. The tallest one walked closer. Her voice was calm, but it carried authority. "You are the one we searched for," she said. Her words were strange but somehow clear in his mind. Ethan shook his head, confused. "What do you want from me?" he asked. His voice echoed against the glowing walls. Instead of answering, the aliens whispered to each other. Their expressions were serious, almost desperate. Then the tall leader turned to him again. "You are important to us, human," she said. "You may not understand yet, but you carry the key to our survival." Ethan felt his blood turn cold. The way she looked at him was not normal. It was not curiosity. It was hunger, need, desperation. He was not a guest here. He was something they had been waiting for. But why? They did not lock him in chains. Instead, they guided him through the shining halls. Everywhere he walked, more alien women stopped and stared at him. Their eyes followed him with strange hope. Whispers filled the air. Some even reached out their hands as if they wanted to touch him. Ethan felt like an animal inside a cage. But worse, they did not see him as a prisoner. They saw him as something sacred. The chamber they led him to was huge. It looked like a throne room with crystal pillars and a high ceiling. At the center stood a circle of alien women, dressed in robes that sparkled. They stared at him as if he was the answer to their prayers. The leader raised her hand and silence filled the room. "This human," she said loudly. "He is the one." Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to demand answers, but his voice caught in his throat. The way they looked at him made his skin crawl. He was not free, but he was not chained either. He was something else, something he did not yet understand. Fear mixed with confusion inside him. Why him? Why? A human. What did they mean by the one? The air grew heavy with suspense as the alien leader stepped closer. Her glowing eyes locked onto his. "You will soon understand," she whispered. And in that moment, Ethan realized his life would never be the same again. Ethan stood frozen in the great chamber. Dozens of glowing eyes watched him, filled with something deeper than curiosity. It was not simple interest. It was hunger mixed with desperation. He felt like the center of a strange ritual, a man surrounded by worshippers he never asked for. The leader raised her hand again, and the whispers fell silent. "You are wondering why you are here," she said. Her voice echoed like a song, calm yet heavy. Ethan nodded, his throat dry. "Yes, tell me," he whispered. "Why me? What do you want?" The leader's expression shifted. For a moment she looked less like a ruler and more like a woman carrying a heavy sorrow. "Our people are dying," she said simply. The words struck him like a blow. "Dying?" Ethan repeated. "Yes," she continued. "Our kind cannot create new life anymore." Ethan's heart pounded as her words sank in. "You mean you can't have children?" he asked. Her glowing eyes lowered. For generations we have tried, she said. We used science, we searched our stars for answers, we cloned and remade, but nothing worked. Her voice cracked slightly. A rare sound from someone so powerful. Our wombs are empty. Our future is empty. The silence that followed was heavy. Ethan looked around and saw the faces of the alien women. Their glowing eyes shimmered not only with beauty, but with sadness. It was the look of a people standing on the edge of extinction. For a moment, Ethan almost felt pity. Almost. But then the leader's eyes rose again, sharp and steady. But you're kind, she said. You are different. Ethan stepped back, his chest tightening. What are you talking about? He asked. You can't mean... The women around him leaned closer, their whispers rising. The leader lifted her hand and their voices hushed once more. We studied many creatures across the stars, she explained. We searched for life that could join with ours, that could heal us, continue us. Her voice lowered, almost a whisper. And only humans carry the key. Ethan felt the air leave his lungs. It was as if the floor had fallen beneath him. He shook his head in disbelief. No, he muttered. That's impossible. But their eyes told him it was not. It was real, you mean? His voice trembled. You need me to. Yes. The leader cut him off gently. You are not prisoner, human. You are salvation. The women around him pressed their hands together as if in prayer. Some even smiled faintly through their sorrow. They looked at him not as a man, but as hope. As the answer to a wound that had lasted generations, Ethan's mind raced. This was too much. He had gone from an ordinary man on Earth to suddenly being told he was the only way an alien species could survive. It sounded insane, it sounded unreal. And yet the fear in their eyes made it impossible to dismiss. He clenched his fists, his voice hard. Why me? Why humans? You could have taken anyone from Earth. The leader tilted her head, her silver blue hair shining under the chamber's light. We tested many, she said, but none matched as perfectly as you. Her words chilled him. They had been watching Earth, they had been experimenting, and now he was chosen. Ethan felt the walls close in. He wanted to run, to escape, but everywhere he turned there were alien women watching, hopeful, desperate, unblinking. It was suffocating. You must understand, the leader said softly. We do not wish to harm you, but without you, our people end. Entire generations will vanish into the dark, and you will be the last chance they ever had. The weight of her words pressed on Ethan's chest. He could almost feel the burden falling onto his shoulders. He was not a soldier, not a hero, not a savior. He was just a man. Yet now, to them, he was the difference between life and death. Ethan's voice cracked as he whispered to himself, This can't be happening. But deep inside, he knew it was real. The truth was out. He now knew the secret of the alien girls. And it was a secret that might destroy him. Ethan stood in silence, his mind heavy with the alien leader's words. They said he was not a prisoner. Yet the walls around him felt like a cage. They said he was salvation. Yet to him, it felt like being hunted. He wanted to scream, to deny it all, but no sound came. The leader watched him carefully. Her glowing eyes softened, but her voice carried weight. You must choose, human, she said. Help us, and you will be honored beyond measure. Refuse us, and you will still remain here, for we cannot let you go. Her words were calm, but Ethan felt the trap hidden inside them. It was no choice at all. Either he helped them, or he stayed as their prisoner forever. His stomach twisted. His hands shook at his sides. One of the alien women stepped forward, younger than the rest. Her face was pale, her voice trembling. Please, she whispered. Do not turn away from us. Our future is gone. Our cradles are empty. We are dying, and you are the only hope left. Ethan turned his face away. The sadness in her voice pierced him, but fear burned stronger inside him. He was not ready to give away his life, his freedom. He was not ready to become whatever they wanted him to be. "What if I refuse?" Ethan asked sharply. His voice echoed through the chamber. For a moment, silence fell. The alien women shifted uncomfortably, but no one answered. Then the leader spoke again, her tone steady. "If you refuse, you will not be harmed, but you will remain here, watched, studied, until you see the truth. Time will show you that there is no other path." Ethan's chest tightened. It was worse than death. It was a life in a golden cage, a life without choice. And yet he could see they were not lying, they were truly desperate, truly broken. The thought made him shiver, because desperation could make people do anything. The leader stepped closer. She raised her hand, and a screen of glowing light appeared between them. Images flickered. Alien cities once bright, now empty. Halls filled. With silence, nurseries with no children. Ethan's eyes widened as he watched. This was not just a story. It was their reality. Her voice was softer now. "Help us, and you will be free among us. We will give you honor, wealth, comfort. You will not be a slave. You will be a father of a new age." The words pressed against his ears like heavy chains. Father of a new age. The title sounded grand, but it was nothing but a burden. Ethan shook his head. "I never asked for this, I never wanted this, I just want to go home," he whispered. The leader's eyes grew colder. "You cannot go home," she said. Her voice was final, heavy without mercy. "Your world would never let us live if they knew the truth. You belong here now, whether you accept it or not." Ethan's heart sank. He realized the full truth. He was not just chosen, he was trapped. They would never let him leave, not alive, not with their secret. The younger alien woman stepped closer again. Her glowing eyes filled with tears. "We are not your enemies," she said softly. "We are only trying to live. Can you not see us as more than captors? Can you not see us as women who only want to hold their children?" Ethan's lips parted, but no words came. Her plea tore at something inside him. He wanted to hate them, he wanted to fight them. But their sadness was too real, too raw. Still, he could not give in. Not yet. The leader lowered her hand and the screen vanished. Her final words hung in the air. "Think carefully, human. You are no longer just yourself. Your choice now decides the fate of an entire species." Ethan closed his eyes. Fear and pity fought inside him. He was drowning in their bargain, and deep inside he knew. No matter what he chose, his life as an ordinary man was gone forever. Ethan could not sleep. The chamber they had given him was soft, warm, almost too comfortable. But no bed in the universe could bring him peace now. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw their glowing stares, dozens of alien women watching him like he was the last star in their sky. The door slid open with a hiss. A guard entered, tall and silent, her eyes glowing faintly blue. "You must come," she said. Her voice was calm, but firm enough to make refusal impossible. Ethan rose slowly, his stomach tight with dread. "Where are you taking me?" he asked. "To the chosen," she replied simply, and nothing more. They led him down bright halls filled with strange symbols. The air hummed as if the walls themselves were alive. Ethan's footsteps echoed while his mind raced. "The chosen?" he whispered to himself. The word felt heavy, like a title he had never wanted. Finally, the doors opened into another chamber. This one was vast and filled with light, and there, waiting for him, were dozens of alien women. They stood in silence. Their eyes locked on him the moment he entered. Ethan froze, his chest tight. Every one of them looked at him with the same mix of fear and hope. The guard gestured. "Step forward." Ethan hesitated, but his legs carried him slowly toward them. The women whispered among themselves. Some smiled faintly, others bit their lips nervously, but all of them stared at him like he was something more than flesh and bone. One of them broke away from the group. She was tall, her skin shimmering with silver light, her eyes glowing green. She reached out her hand slowly, as if afraid he might vanish. "You are real," she whispered, her voice trembling. "For so long we were told humans were only a story, but now, here you stand." Ethan stepped back, his pulse racing. He felt their stares pressing against his skin. He wanted to run, but the doors behind him remained sealed. "I'm just a man," he said quietly. "Nothing more." The women shook their heads almost in unison. One spoke, her voice breaking. "You are not just anything, you are the answer, the chance we prayed for." Another added, "Without you, we end. With you, we live." The words fell heavy on Ethan's shoulders. He felt trapped between their sorrow and their hope. He saw their faces, some young, some older, but all carrying the same emptiness. They were not monsters, not soldiers. They were women who had lost everything. Still, the weight of their eyes made him tremble. He was not their savior, he was just a man dragged from his home. And yet, to them, he was everything. The leader of the group stepped forward now. Her robe shimmered with threads of crystal light. She looked into his eyes, calm but steady. "Ethan," she said, calling him by name for the first time. "You will meet us, learn us, know us. You will see that we are not chains, we are life asking you to share breath with us." Her words stirred something inside him. It was not anger but fear mixed with strange pity. He looked around again. Some of the women were crying softly. Others stood straight with pride. All of them seemed ready to give anything if he only said yes. Ethan whispered to himself, "This isn't real, this can't be real." But the room, the faces, the glowing eyes, they were all too real. He was surrounded not by enemies, but by hearts that beat with desperation, and that was the most dangerous thing of all, because desperation could chain him tighter than any metal. He was not in a prison of walls, he was in a prison of need. The leader raised her hand and the whisper stilled. "You are not forced," she said. "You will be given time. But know this, every moment you stand before us, we see not only a man, we see our children, our families, our future." Ethan's chest rose and fell quickly. He wanted to speak, to shout, to demand freedom. But the words caught in his throat, because deep down, he realized something terrible. Even if he escaped this place, the memory of those desperate eyes would follow him forever. Ethan's legs felt heavy as he followed the guards down another shining corridor. He did not ask where they were taking him because deep inside he already knew. The time for questions was over. The time for answers, terrifying answers, was coming. The door at the end of the hall slid open with a deep hum. Inside was a chamber unlike the others. Cold silver walls curved around glowing machines. The air smelled sharp, like metal and ozone. Strange tubes and crystals lined the room, pulsing with faint light. Ethan's stomach twisted. He had seen enough movies to know this was a laboratory. The alien leader entered behind him, her steps graceful but firm. Her glowing eyes watched him closely. "It is time," she said. Simply, Ethan clenched his fists, his voice shaking. "Time for what? Another speech? Another promise? Or time to turn me into a thing for your use?" The leader's expression did not change. "You misunderstand," she said. "We do not harm what we value, but we must see if the stories are true." At her signal, two alien women stepped forward. One carried a crystal tablet filled with symbols. The other held a vial glowing with blue light. They moved carefully, almost reverently, as if they were handling a holy relic. But Ethan realized with dread that the relic was him. He tried to step back, but the guards closed in. Not with weapons, but with quiet, firm presence. They did not need to chain him. The room itself was the cage. The leader spoke again, her tone calm. "You will not be harmed. We only test. One drop of your blood. One match against our cells, that is all." Ethan froze. Blood. It sounded simple, but his gut told him it was not. He glanced at the women around him. Their glowing eyes were not cruel, but desperate. He saw hope trembling inside them, hope so sharp it could cut. One of the scientists stepped closer. She held a thin needle of light. It will not hurt, she said softly, her voice almost kind, almost human. Ethan swallowed hard. Every instinct told him to fight, to run, but there was nowhere to go. He held out his arm with shaking hands. Just do it, he whispered. The needle touched his skin, a flash of light, and a drop of red blood shimmered into the vial. The scientist turned, her hands trembling. She carried it to a glowing console where alien symbols danced across the screen. The room grew silent. Every alien woman stared, holding their breath. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears. He wanted the test to fail. He wanted the machine to reject him, to prove he was nothing to them. But then, the console sang with a rising tone. Symbols flashed green across the screen. The scientist gasped, her eyes wide. It works, she whispered, her voice breaking. The human matches. The chamber exploded with noise, gasps, cries, even laughter broke out among the women. Some fell to their knees, others pressed their hands to their mouths. Tears glowed in alien eyes as they turned to him, their voices rose like a wave. He is the one, he is the one. Ethan's heart dropped into his stomach. He stumbled back, shaking his head. No. No, this can't be. I didn't ask for this. But their faces only grew brighter with hope. He had become something more than a man. He had become proof. The leader stepped forward, her voice loud above the cries. Today we see the truth. Human life can join with ours. We are not lost. Our people will live again. Her eyes locked onto Ethan, and though her words carried joy, he felt the weight of chains pressing on his chest. For in that moment, he understood something terrible. He was no longer Ethan, no longer a man from Earth. To them, he was only one thing now, breeding material, and there was no escape from that truth. The celebration of the test still echoed in Ethan's mind. He had watched alien women cry, smile, and whisper his name like it was sacred. But inside his chest, there was only fear. He was not a savior, not a miracle. He was a man trapped in a role he never wanted. Later, when the guards escorted him back to his chamber, Ethan felt the weight of their stares. They did not see him as a prisoner now. They saw him as treasure, but that only made the chains tighter. The door slid shut behind him. For the first time, Ethan was alone again. He dropped onto the soft bed, pressing his hands to his face. This is madness, he whispered to himself. They're going to use me until nothing is left. A faint sound made him lift his head. The door hissed open without warning. Ethan stood quickly, expecting another guard or scientist. Instead, a single alien woman stepped inside. She closed the door quietly and pressed her back against it. Her glowing eyes darted nervously as if she feared being followed. Ethan frowned. Who are you? The woman placed a finger to her lips. Quiet, she whispered, her voice urgent. I am not here to harm you. She stepped closer, her movements quick, almost human in their nervousness. Her skin shimmered faint gold, her eyes glowed deep, violet. Unlike the others who looked at him with worship, she looked at him with worry. My name is Saga, she said softly. I came to warn you. Ethan narrowed his eyes. Warn me? About what? I already know what they want. Me, my blood, my body. Saga nodded, her face tense. Yes, but it is worse than they told you. She sat across from him, her voice trembling. The council will not stop with one test. Now that they have proof, they will push harder. They will keep you here, make you give more and more, not as a man, but as material. The word stabbed into Ethan like a knife. Material. He had thought it himself, but hearing it from her lips made it real. Why? Are you telling me this? Ethan asked, suspicion in his tone. If you're one of them, why betray your own people? Saga lowered her head, her voice quiet. Because I do not see you as they do, she said. They look at you and see only survival. I look at you and see a man who has lost everything, taken from his world, his home, his freedom. Her words made Ethan pause. It was the first time any of them had spoken to him as a person, not as a savior, not as a tool, but as someone suffering. Saga leaned closer, her eyes burning with sincerity. I was born broken, she whispered. The others call me empty because my body cannot even try to create life. I know what it is like to be treated as less. I know what it is like to be used for what you are, not who you are." Ethan's chest tightened. He saw pain in her eyes, the same kind of pain he felt, and for the first time since his capture, he felt a spark of connection. "So what do you want from me?" he asked quietly. Saria shook her head. "Nothing. I only want you to survive. If you give in completely, they will break you. If you resist openly, they will cage you. But if you are careful, if you trust me, maybe there is another path." Her words filled him with both hope and fear. Could he really trust her? Was this a trap? Another way to test him? But something in her trembling voice felt real. Something in her eyes told him she was not lying. Before he could answer, alarms echoed faintly in the distance. Saria's eyes widened. "They will notice I am gone," she said quickly. She stood and moved to the door, but before leaving, she turned back. Her voice was firm now, almost fierce. "Remember, Ethan, not all of us want to use you. Some of us want to protect you. Do not give up your soul to them." The door closed. Behind her, leaving Ethan alone again, he sat in silence, his heart pounding. For the first time, he felt he was not completely alone. Yet that made things even more dangerous. Because now, he had hope. And hope could make him fight. Ethan could not forget Saria's warning. Her words echoed in his head like a shadow following him everywhere. "If you give in completely, they will break you," she had said. He had thought he was already trapped. But now he realized there were deeper layers to the prison, layers he had not yet seen. Days passed in a blur. The alien council treated him with strange kindness. He was given food, clothes, even rooms filled with comforts, but behind every gift was a chain. Behind every smile was a hidden command. Stay, obey, become what we need. Ethan noticed the way they studied him. Scientists followed his every step. Scanning, recording, whispering. It was not curiosity. It was hunger for knowledge. He felt like a specimen in a glass cage, and he realized Saria had been right. The first experiment was only the beginning. One evening, the leader summoned him to the council chamber again. This time, the air was colder, heavier. The women sat in a circle, their robes glowing faintly in the dim light. At the center was a machine unlike any Ethan had seen before. It pulsed with blue light, its wires like veins stretching across the floor. The leader's voice was calm but sharp. "Ethan, you have already proven that your kind can save us. But one man alone is not enough. We need more. We need many." Ethan's heart pounded. "What do you mean, many?" he asked carefully. The leader looked at him as if it were obvious. "We will take what you are, your blood, your seed, your essence, and we will multiply it. We will create as many of you as we need." Ethan staggered back, his face pale. You want to clone me?" The leader nodded, her expression calm. "Yes. Why rely on one when we can have 1,000? You will be the root, and from you, a forest will grow." The words made Ethan's skin crawl. He clenched his fists, his voice breaking. "I'm not a machine. I'm not a factory for you to copy. I'm a man." But his protest only made them whisper to each other. Some looked at him with pity, others with cold calculation. The leader raised her hand for silence. "You must understand," she said. "This is not cruelty. This is survival. We cannot risk everything on one man who may grow weak. Your gift must be spread. Your image must fill our cradles." Ethan's chest tightened with rage. They had no intention of stopping at blood tests or simple unions. They wanted to strip him down to nothing but raw material. They wanted to erase Ethan the person and replace him with Ethan the resource. Saria's warning returned to him. "They will break you." Now he saw exactly how, not with chains or cages, but with machines and science, with endless copies that would drain him until nothing of himself remained. "I won't do it," Ethan said firmly. His voice echoed through the chamber. "I won't let you turn me into a tool. I'd rather die." Gasps spread among the council, but the leader only narrowed her eyes. You may resist now, she said, her tone colder than ever. But you will see reason, if not by choice, then by time. For you cannot fight forever, not against us, not against an entire dying people. Ethan's breath came hard. His anger burned, but beneath it was fear. Fear that she was right. Fear that even his will would not be enough to stop them. When the meeting ended, he was escorted back to his chamber. But now the walls felt closer, the air heavier. He sat on the bed, his hands shaking. For the first time, he truly understood the dark side of their plan. They did not only want him alive, they wanted to consume him piece by piece, drop by drop, until nothing of Ethan remained but what they needed. And somewhere in the shadows, he knew time was running out. Ethan lay awake in the dark chamber. The alien bed was soft, the walls hummed with quiet energy, but none of it mattered. His mind burned with one truth. If he stayed, they would strip him of everything, his freedom, his body, even his name. He could not wait for their time to break him. He had to run. But how do you escape a starship full of glowing-eyed guards and machines smarter than anything on Earth? Ethan clenched his fists. He had no weapon, no plan, only fear. And yet fear was better than surrender. The door hissed softly. Ethan's heart jumped. But it was not a guard. It was Saga, slipping inside like a shadow. Her violet eyes glowed, faintly in the dark. "You're awake," she whispered. "I knew you would be." Ethan sat up quickly. "You were right," he said, his voice low but fierce. "They don't just want me. They want to copy me. They'll use me until nothing's left." Saga nodded grimly. "I warned you, the council will never let you go, but there is a way out, dangerous, almost impossible, but still a way." Ethan's pulse raced. "What way?" he demanded. Saga leaned closer, her words quick. "There is a lower hangar, small ships dock there for scouting. If we can reach it before the alarms, you might escape, but once they know, the whole ship will hunt you." Ethan swallowed hard. Danger almost impossible, still better than waiting to be drained by machines. "I'll take the chance," he said firmly. Saga's lips trembled into the faintest smile. "Good, then follow me." The door opened, and they slipped into the silent corridor. The halls glowed faintly, every step echoing louder than Ethan wished. Saga moved quickly, her body tense. Ethan followed close, his eyes darting. Every sound felt like an alarm, every shadow like a guard waiting to strike. They reached a stairwell that curved downward. Saga touched a panel and the lights dimmed. "The security here is weaker," she whispered. "But move fast." They hurried down. Ethan's heart pounded louder than the humming walls. Each turn of the stair felt endless, but finally, the door to the hangar slid open. The space inside was huge. Rows of sleek alien ships rested in glowing docks, their silver hulls reflecting. The dim lights for a moment, Ethan almost stopped, awed by the sight. But Saga grabbed his arm, pulling him forward. "Don't stare. Run," she urged. They moved quickly toward a smaller craft at the edge, but before they reached it, a sharp alarm shrieked through the chamber. Red lights flared. Ethan froze, his stomach twisting. "They know," he whispered. Doors burst open on the far side, and alien guards poured in. Their eyes blazed blue, their weapons glowing with light. Saga's face hardened. "Go, Ethan," she shouted. She ran toward the guards, her hands glowing as energy crackled between her fingers. Ethan stared in shock. "You'll be killed," he shouted. Saga turned, her violet eyes fierce. "Better me than you. You are the one they need. Run!" Her scream shook him loose. Ethan turned and sprinted toward the nearest ship. The alarms roared, his breath burned, his legs felt like lead, but adrenaline carried him forward. He reached the ship and slammed his hands against the glowing panel near the hatch. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then the hatch hissed open. He stumbled inside, gasping. The walls glowed faintly, the controls alien and strange. He had no idea how to fly it, but he had no choice. From the hatch, he looked back once. Saga fought the guards, her body glowing with desperate energy. She moved like lightning, faster than he had thought possible, but there were too many. Her eyes met his for a split second. "Fly," she shouted before vanishing into the swarm. Ethan's hands shook as he touched the controls. Symbols lit up, the ship humming beneath him. He pulled at the handles, pressed buttons at random. The ship trembled, engines roaring to life. Outside, guards turned toward him, weapons raised. The hangar filled with light as the ship lifted from the dock. Ethan gritted his teeth. Come on, he growled. The craft shot forward, alarms screaming louder, and as the hangar doors began to close, he saw one last glimpse of Soraya, still fighting. Then darkness swallowed her, and Ethan's ship hurled itself into the endless void of space. The stars stretched endlessly across the black window of the alien ship. Ethan sat in the pilot's chair, his hands trembling on the glowing controls. The engine's hum filled the silence, but his thoughts were louder than any sound. He had escaped the hangar, escaped the guards, escaped the prison. But his chest felt heavier than ever. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her. Soraya, standing against the swarm, her violet eyes burning as she shouted one last word at him. Fly! He had obeyed. He had left her behind. And the guilt pressed down on him like a mountain. Ethan slammed his fist against the console. Damn it! He shouted, his voice raw. She saved me. And I left her. The ship answered only, with quiet humming. The glowing lights of the alien controls shifted gently, as if mocking his anger. Ethan leaned forward, his face buried in his hands. He felt like a coward. He felt like he had abandoned the only one who ever treated him as a person, not a resource. But then a whisper cut through his despair. Ethan. His head shot up, eyes wide. For a second he thought he imagined it, but then the sound came again, soft, broken. Ethan, can you hear me? He looked around frantically until he saw the glowing screen on the console flicker. A faint image appeared, Soraya's face pale, weak, her hair disheveled. His heart stopped. Soraya, he gasped. You're alive? Her lips trembled into the smallest smile. Alive. For now, she whispered. Her voice was weak, her breathing uneven. They took me. I am back in the ship, but I found a way to send this signal. Ethan's throat tightened. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have stayed behind. You saved me, but now you're suffering because of it. Soraya shook her head slowly. No, Ethan, you had to escape. If you remained, they would have broken you. At least now you are free. Free to choose. Her words cut him deeply. Free to choose? He didn't feel free. He felt chained by guilt, chained by the memory of her eyes. Soraya, Ethan whispered, his voice shaking. You're the only one who saw me as human, not material. And I left you. How can I live with that? Her image flickered, the signal weak. You must live with it because you carry more than guilt. You carry hope. Mine, and maybe theirs too. She coughed, her voice breaking. I am not afraid to fall if it means you rise. But don't waste this chance, Ethan. Don't waste it on anger or despair. Tears burned Ethan's eyes. He wanted to reach through the screen, pull her to safety, but she was light years away, trapped in chains he could not break, and he was alone, drifting in a stolen ship. For a long moment he said nothing. The silence of space surrounded him, pressing against his chest. Finally his voice came, low but steady. I won't let your sacrifice mean nothing if I can't save you. Then I'll fight them. I'll fight the council. I'll fight their plan. I'll make sure they never turn me or anyone else into a tool. Soraya's eyes softened, her lips trembling into one last faint smile. That is all I ask, she whispered. Her image flickered once more, and then the screen went dark. Ethan sat frozen, staring at the empty console, his fists clenched, his chest burning with rage and sorrow. He had lost her. But he had also gained something. A purpose. For the first time since his capture, he was no longer only running. He was no longer just surviving. He was fighting. Not just for himself, but for Soraya. For the part of him she had saved. for the part of him that still believed he was more than breeding material. The stars outside stretched endlessly, cold and silent, but Ethan's eyes hardened as he whispered into the void, "This isn't over."